Hello friends, welcome back to Random Hearts and welcome to our garden. This is what it looks like in the month of April. We are on a warm day right now. This is basically the calm before the storm. You can see we still have quite a bit of snow on the ground, but we have a winter storm warning tonight and we are expecting anywhere from 9 to 15 inches of snow in the next 48 hours. So the landscape is going to look very different in the next couple of days. But we are starting to reseed on our snow, and so there are some things I can do this month to start preparing for our garden beds and our planting season. So I'm going to be doing some maintenance out here today. I'm going to try to get as much as I can. I'm going to start with this bed right here, and I'll just show you what we're going to do. Then we'll head inside and we'll do some maintenance inside. I wanted to clean up this bed that is underneath the apple tree. This is my crab apple, and the wagon, I did not have the opportunity to clean it out last fall because we went from really warm, almost summer-like temperatures to freezing cold almost overnight, and we never came out of it. So we've had snow on the ground since the middle of October, and it has been a very cold winter. This wagon actually was not as easy to clean out as I had anticipated, and so I kind of struggled with it a little here. Things are not quite ready for me to take them out of the ground here, but I do need to be careful as I walk through this bed because I do have tulips and daffodils in this bed, and even though they're not coming up yet, I do want to be careful. I have now moved on to the bed that is opposite of the apple tree. I chose these two beds because they are south facing and they have the most sun exposure for my yard at this point. And so I thought maybe they would be a little more thawed out than the rest of the yard. But just like I mentioned with the wagon, we were unable to come in and do any kind of maintenance or cleanup. Once we had our hard frost last fall, it just was impossible. We were covered in snow for, well, we've been covered in snow for a long time now. And so I am just cleaning out this bed. This is what I will do this month. I will, as these beds thaw out, I will take them, trim up all the perennials, take out all of the annuals that were left in there, kind of add a little bit of bark mulch to the tops, maybe even some fertilizer. And I do plan on doing some maintenance on the house as well back here. Our deck is very dirty and so are our windows. This has been a very rough winter. So that is some of the maintenance we'll do back here as well this month. I was wearing a microphone here and talking you through everything I was doing, but between the neighbors' dogs and the traffic on the street, I was unable to keep that audio. So change of plans. I did get that bed over there cleaned out. It is frozen. Even the wagon is frozen still. And this bed is not any better. And so I started this one. I've cut back some of the perennials and topped off some of the annuals that were in here. But it is not ready for me to clean out. We are still very frozen. So I'm just going to leave this be. We're going to go inside and we'll do some work on our seedlings in there. Well, that's kind of a bummer. I was hoping with as warm as it is today, we are right at 48 degrees right now outside, and it's one of our warmest days we've had in a while. But like I said, the warm before the storm, I was hoping everything would be a little more thawed out and I could at least on those south-facing beds be able to pull some stuff out. But no can do. So what we're going to do in the garage right now is we are going to start some marigolds and some more tomatoes. And I'm also going to replant or restart a couple of seedlings that did not do well earlier. I will talk to you about that later when we go inside and do some trimming and thinning in the plants that I've got indoors already. But let's go ahead and start some more seeds. So I'm going to begin by putting some seed starting mix into my tray here, my mixing tray. I am going to be starting with our marigolds today. I have 3 different varieties that I am going to be using. 2 of them are store-bought seeds, and one of them are collected seeds from my yard last year. So let's go ahead and water this down. This is the seed starting mix. It's very lofty. It does not take a ton of water to moisten it up, and we don't want it to be too saturated. So I'm just going to keep working with this. If I do find some large pieces of wood or sticks in my mix, I do want to take those out. They do prohibit and sometimes deter plants from coming out of the ground when they hit a big stick or something like that in the soil. So even though this is seed starting mix, there are some sticks and there are some pieces of wood in here. So I want to be very careful with that. I'm still not wet enough, so let's add a little more water. Now my seed packets tell me that if I would like these started to have flowers by the time I put them outdoors, my marigolds need to be started a whole 8 weeks ahead of time. Otherwise, it's 4 to 6 weeks. Now marigolds do grow fairly quickly, but they are also very, very susceptible to cold temperatures. So for sure, I would not be able to plant these out till at least that first week of June, possibly the second week. So my mix right here is pretty good. Good consistency, kind of holding a shape. I'm going to go ahead and fill my 12 cell tray with soil. I'm going to fill this all the way to the top because these seeds just sit on the surface. And of course I am doing this out in the garage. I can make a mess out here and clean that up later. This is much easier for me. And this is going to need to be pressed down a little. You can see that they are really not filling the cells very well. I want those a little more full. So I'm going to come back through, add some more soil. I just want to leave a little bit of head space on the top so that I can add a tiny bit of dirt after I get my seeds in there. I think we're fairly full. I've got a little bit less soil down here at this end, so I'll put a little bit in there. You don't want to pack this soil down. You just want it lightly in there. I'm just barely tapping it. And so I'm going to clean this off so I can see where my cells are. And then I will dust my hands off a little bit here. And we're going to go ahead and start planting. These are the Queen Sophia French Marigold. This one, yeah, 1/4 inch deep. And if you've never seen a marigold seed before, this is what they look like. They have this dark point on the end and then a little bit of a almost straw-like color on the top. They're pretty easy to plant. I'm going to press those down here in just a second. I'm going to put one in each cell to start with. If I have more, I will put them in here. This has about 50 seeds in the packet, it says. So I am hoping that I can put 2 in each cell, but we'll start off with 1. And if they do come up, I will just try to separate them and transplant them. I am hoping to get quite a few of these. They are going to be put out into the landscape in our garden area and with some of our tomatoes this year again. I really enjoyed putting my marigolds with my tomatoes last year. Now, I don't know about this variety. This is not my typical or standard variety that I plant. So I don't know if I'll use these next to tomatoes. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead. I've already started putting 2 in each cell. If you were noticing, I can definitely tell I've got enough here to put 2 in each cell.
So that is what I'm doing. And I'm going to press these down here in a minute, but I want to be really careful not to press them too hard. Now, if you remember last year, I did not have very good luck with my marigolds, starting them from seed. So I'm really hoping that heat mats this year will help with that. But I only have the one heat mat available to use right now. So I don't know. It may or may not work to have them on the heat mat. They'll have to share it a little. So I am going to have 2 to 3 trays of marigolds, and so that might be a little bit on the tricky side. All right, I think we have a few more in here, and I can put a couple more into these cells up front here. I hope we get good germination rates on these. I would like to see how this variety does. I've never tried them before, so this will be something new for me. And I am all about new plants and want to see how well they'll do in my area. So if you're not familiar with where I grow, I am in a 4B growing zone. I am in Wyoming, and we do have some pretty severe conditions for our plants to grow in. So I'm going to go ahead and press these down. I think that is all of them out of here. Oops, I got one more. Let's see, I think we'll put it in this cell. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and press these down into the soil, just ever so slightly. I want to be very gentle with this. I don't want to break the seeds or damage them too much. So we're just pressing them down. They need to be 1/4 of an inch down in the soil. Now the other variety I am planting from Johnny Seeds is a lemon gem, and they are surface planted. They do not need that 1/4 of an inch. They just need a tiny bit of soil on top of them. So I am just pressing those down. I'm going to add some extra soil here in just a second. And then I will top this all off with some vermiculite. And we'll label these up. And I don't think I'll show you the other ones. We'll see. I'm just going to go ahead and water those in and get those ready to go. So I've already filled this tray. These are the French marigold seeds that I saved from last year's garden. I have quite a few of them. And this is my first year doing this, so we'll see how well these do. I don't know if I'm too confident in this. Same thing. We're just going to put a couple of these into each cell and top those off with some soil and some vermiculite. We'll water everything in. I'll put labels on all 3 of those marigold trays, and then we'll get them as close as possible onto that heat mat. I definitely want these to have some heat. Now we're going to do a 12 cell. I think I said 12 cell on one of my 24 cells, but I'll fix that in editing. We are going to use a 12 cell here to plant some extra cabbage. I did have some issues with some of my cabbage I started earlier, and I will explain that when we are indoors. I've got a couple of things to explain with seedlings. So these need to be planted 1/2 of an inch deep, I'm sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in here. I'm going to put probably 4 to 5 seeds in each cell and then press them down. That is green cabbage. Those are early golden acre. I did plant those last year, and they did pretty well for me last year. So we'll see if they can do the same thing this year. I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. That way I know that I have 4 cells of them. Then the next seed I want to plant is the 5-star grape tomato. I also planted these last year and had pretty good luck with them. These need to be 1/4 of an inch deep, and they are super tiny seeds. I want 4 cells of these. There are not a lot of seeds in here, so I probably will be using all of them. Okay, we're just going to press those down ever so slightly. I will top those all off. And yes, we did pretty much use all that seed. I'll just throw those in. Extra seeds are better than having 1 or 2 in a packet. So that is the 5-star. I'm going to press those down just a little bit and then top them off with a little bit of soil. And then I'm going to only be doing 2 cells of these next 2 tomatoes. I only need 1 plant of each. This is the New Girl. This is a new variety for me to try this year. And so I'm just going to do 2 cells of them. And I'll probably put 2 plants in each since they are brand new seeds. Okay, and that is our New Girl variety. I do mark on my tag how many cells I have planted. So if I've planted 2 cells, I have a ×2 on there. If I've planted 4, I have a ×4. The next one I want to plant is called Mountain Magic. And like I said, I only need 1 of these as well. I just need 1 plant. So we are going to go ahead and do 2 seeds each. These are brand new again for me, so I don't know how these will do. I will put 2 in each cell. Press those down just a little bit into my soil. Remember, I only want 1/4 inch here, so this really doesn't need a whole lot of soil on top, just a tiny bit. And we're just going to press those down, clean that edge up just a little. Put in our tag. And I've got 2 cells of that variety. And we're going to top this whole thing off with some vermiculite. I'll do that over this. And that ought to do it. I've got quite a mess here. That is all the seed starting that I am going to be doing for today. There are a few more things I need to start over the course of this month of April. And if I can do it, I will turn them into shorts for you guys so you can see what I'm doing as I'm doing it. But yes, we are still working heavily on seed starting. We're getting to the point where we're almost done with the indoor seed starting. Here in about a month, we will start some things outdoors if our weather holds out.
Well, we're going to have to quit for the day. My dog is not feeling well, and so I need to go give her a bath. She threw up all over herself and her bed, and so I've got a little bit of work to do there. But this is what we were able to accomplish today with our seed starting. We got 3 large trays, 24-cell trays of Marigold started, and a 12-cell tray of cabbage and of tomatoes. And I was able to put 2 of these larger ones on top of the heat mat. I've got a little bit of this one sitting on there, but I do rotate my trays around a little, and so we will rotate and try to give as much as we can to each tray. Of course, the lights do not need to be on right now. Those are just on so that you guys could see this. So we'll go ahead and do the maintenance and the thinning and trimming and all that good stuff tomorrow on the other seedlings. These are my seedlings right now, and I'm going to do a little bit of maintenance on them. I do have the fan on these right now. That is to sturdy up those stems and to make them a little stronger. I am going to turn that off so I can work with these, but I am going to take the onions into the kitchen. This set of onions, you can tell, really need a haircut, and I'm going to show you some things I need to do with these. So we'll walk into the kitchen and we'll take care of those. So this is the set that we did at the beginning of March. This is the seeds we started then. And these are the frontier onions, and you can see some of them are getting really, really tall. I really don't want the height of these to be this tall. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to take each individual one and I'm going to cut it off to about 3 inches. Now, those onions I can save and we can actually eat. They're edible. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all of those down. You'll see right here on this one, this is where the original onion came out of the ground. I'm going to go ahead and trim that off as well. And I'm just going to keep doing that, trimming these up so that they're not so long and lanky. And that will help them get stronger as well. Just like the fan blowing on them, this will help these onions to grow a little stronger. So this would have been the part right here that came out of the ground. And I'm going to go ahead and trim that off. We probably won't eat that part, but I'll put it in that bowl. I'm basically just giving these guys a little bit of a haircut. And I'll just keep doing that all the way down. And you'll see I've got a couple of onions in here that are doubles in a cell. We'll be dealing with those later this month. And I'll be transplanting those into larger containers. This is actually pretty good for these plants to get a little bit of a haircut. You don't want them to get too long, and especially if you've got them on grow lights, you don't want them touching the grow lights. So you'll see I've got all of them. I want to get this one just a little bit shorter, I think, and this one just a little bit shorter. And then we'll put those right back underneath those grow lights and let them continue growing. So that is the first set of onions that we planted. This is my second set of onions that I planted about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And you'll see when they come out of the ground, they kind of have this loop to them. This one right here, this part would have been down in the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and trim that off. I'm going to give this one a little bit of a haircut right there where it came out of the ground. And then any of these that are really struggling to come out of the ground, I might give them a little bit of a haircut too. But I don't know if I'm going to do that today. So I think I'll leave these alone. You can see I've got still quite a few of these trying to come up yet. I've got one here, one here, one here. They're still just emerging from the soil, so I think I'll leave this tray alone, but that's how I'm going to maintain my onions, and we'll just put these all right back under the grow light. Now these seedlings here were all started a little later. This is the tray that I showed in the March update, the short. These are the basil and all of our peppers. You can see I am still getting peppers to come up. All seedlings do not come up at the same rate, and so we've had to be pretty patient with those. But I do need to start thinning out some of this over here. You can see I had like 4 and 5 basil plants in each cell. So I'm going to go ahead and take those into the kitchen, and I'll show you what I need to do with that to thin out the plant. When I plant in these cells, I do put in quite a few seeds, and you'll see that I have 3 plants here, and I have 4 plants here. Now that will not do well for those plants. They will not do well all in that same space. So I have 2 options. I can either take the plant out or I can thin it. So today I'm going to thin it. I don't need this much basil, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get right down here underneath where the base of the plant is, and I'm just going to snip that. That essentially will take care of that plant. It is no longer living because there are no leaves for that plant to grow. It will essentially just die back. Now I don't want to just pull the plant out of the ground because they might already have some pretty established roots, especially with as large as these are getting already. And it might disrupt the other plant that I'm wanting to save if I just pull it straight out of the ground. So that is why I am choosing to snip them off. So this one has 4 in it, and I'm going to go ahead and snip that one down right at the base as well. Now you can eat these little tender basil plants, so we will save those. And I think, yeah, that is my strongest one. You can tell that. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and take this one right here. Ooh, it's so hard to do this because you never know which ones are actually doing well. I'm going to take this little one here. It's too close to this other one. So I'm going to go ahead and take that one out. That leaves me 3 of that type of basil. I'm going to leave these 2 in this cell. And yeah, I think I'm going to take this one. Now you can take these out of the cell and transplant them into another pot, but like I said, I do not need that much basil, so we'll just keep these going for right now. I've got that really strong one, this one right here, these 2, and eventually I might be able to separate those out and transplant them into smaller or larger pots. So that is what I'm going to do with those. The peppers, I'm going to do the same thing with. So I've got jalapenos right here. And you can see I've got 3 in this cell, 2 in this cell, 2 in this cell, and 2 in this cell. And that is not going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and take the smaller ones, or the ones that are not quite as big and don't look as good. And I'm going to just go ahead and put those in my bowl here. I do not want to eat those peppers, but we'll separate them out later. I'm going to go ahead and take this one here. And that just gives these plants that I've left behind better opportunity to grow and have the space to themselves. Okay, we are down to 4 jalapeno peppers now. Now, like I said, this one's still trying to emerge, so I'm not going to even get near that one. And I think I'll take this one here. These are the regular sweet peppers, and I'll take this one here. And it's really hard to tell right now which one's going to do better, so I'm going to leave those 2 in that cell for right now, and we'll just check on those in about a week and see how much growth they actually have. So I'll put these back underneath their grow light, and that's all I need to do to thin those plants and give them a better chance of surviving in their cell. One of the things I'll be doing this month is actually replanting or restarting a few of the seeds that did not do well. So this right here is a perfect example of what happens when seeds get a little older. So this cabbage, these 6 cells right here, they are this early golden acre cabbage. And if I read the back of my package, it says to sell by December of 2017. So they are very old. And you'll see I did plant 4 in each cell. And I got 2 in this one, none. One very lanky, he's almost at the top of the dirt. He just didn't do well. None and none. So out of what, 24 seeds that I planted, I only got 4 plants that actually came up or germinated. And these have been plenty long enough in the ground for them to actually germinate. Now this is the Omero red cabbage that I planted. These are brand new seeds, and so they are not old seeds, and their germination rate, I put 2 in each cell, was exactly 100%. Every single plant came up. Every single seed I have a viable plant on. So now what I need to do with these is also decide which ones I want to keep and which ones I need to thin out, because I do not want 2 plants in each cell. We finally got our Adirondack chairs for around our fire pit area.
We have been wanting these for years, and for almost 3 years now, we've been trying to get them to our home. We actually ordered these in March of 2020, and because of delays and the pandemic, they did not arrive by October that year, and so we did cancel the order. And this year I went ahead and tried to order them again, and there was a back order on them, and so I thought, oh boy, we're gonna do this all over again. But we went through with the order, and surprisingly they arrived earlier than we expected. So there are 4 of them. My husband is putting them together here, and hopefully by the end of the month we will be working on our fire pit area. We will try to get that leveled out and fixed up, but it's all going to depend on weather. We also would like to get our patio furniture out on this patio, so that also will depend on our weather.
These are just a few of the things that we'll be doing in the month of April as we prepare for our next garden season. And to be honest, most of it is contingent upon weather. And like this morning, we woke up with snow on the ground, but I can already tell that the snow has melted off the streets and we got some moisture out of it, which is very important. If you don't know, our area has been in drought conditions for the last several years, so that extra moisture is much appreciated. But the one thing that is not appreciated is the extra cold temperatures. And I know I'm not alone when I say I am tired of the cold weather. We are so ready for spring to arrive in Wyoming. We have been unseasonably cold, and I can already tell by being outside in my backyard that plants are nowhere near where they were last year. We are definitely behind schedule, and I do not expect anything to be in bloom by the first weeks of May. So I hope this video has been helpful for anyone that gardens in a cooler climate. And if you would like to watch more videos, I will link my gardening playlist at the end of this video. Also, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. That helps us know that we are producing good content for you. And if you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing. We try to put out videos at least once a week. And if you have any questions or comments, leave those down in the comments section. We hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.